So how do you find peace when it feels like your world is just falling apart? We're going to dive into a really powerful message that tackles that exact question. It shows a path to this unshakable calm, even when you're right in the middle of a life-altering storm.
Let's start with the verse that many of you probably know. It's from Psalm 23, and it really sets up a core promise that's going to be our anchor for this whole story. The idea is simple but profound. That divine presence, it's the ultimate antidote to fear.
And that idea, that word presence, well, it's the foundation for everything we're about to talk about. See, it's not just about, not being alone. It's something much more active. It's about being actively supported. So let's take a look at what that support actually looks like. Okay, so this promise from Isaiah, it's huge. It's not just a passive, hey, don't be afraid. No, it's a whole series of active, powerful promises. Things like, I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you. It's this multi-layered commitment, a real promise of support.
Now, to really bring this promise to life, the devotional we're looking at shares this incredible personal story. And it starts, like so many of life's biggest tests do, in a moment of just absolute peace and calm.
So the author's on this cruise, right? And for the first 6 days, everything was perfect. Picture it. The sea was calm, the winds were gentle, skies were clear. I mean, it was literally like heaven on earth, a perfect picture of peace.
And then, day 7 hits, and that perfect picture, it just gets completely shattered. Just like that, tranquility turns into absolute terror.
A storm hits. And listen, we are not talking about a little bit of bad weather here. The ship was massive, several stories high, and it was being tossed around by these waves like it was a paper boat. I mean, things were flying everywhere. The whole ship was shaking. Total chaos.
So the captain gets on the intercom, probably trying to be reassuring, but it totally backfires. He explains that storms are categorized, with 12 being the absolute worst. And then he says, we are in a category 10 storm. Wow, that number 10. It just makes the danger feel so real, so specific.
And you can just imagine the author's reaction, right? It's that immediate human fear. He's thinking, God, what am I even doing here in a category 10 storm? He's thinking about the tiny little river back in his village, and now he's in this massive ocean storm. He feels completely helpless.
But it's right here, in this moment of pure fear, that the whole story just pivots. Back in his cabin, the author starts a conversation, and it's a conversation that is going to change everything.
This is that moment of total surrender. He's faced with a situation that's so far beyond his control, and he just cries out, Lord, what am I going to do now? It's that desperate plea you make when you've run out of all other options.
And the answer he gets, it's not a command, it's a question. It's this brilliant, almost Socratic moment. God asks him, Son, when I was on earth and I was in a boat that was caught in a storm, what was I doing? And that question just completely shifts his focus away from his own fear and onto a story he already knew deep down.
And just like that one question changes everything. It completely reframes the problem and shows him a clear, even if it sounds a little crazy, path forward.
The answer clicks into place. It's so simple. In that famous story about Jesus in the storm, he was sleeping. And that realization, it isn't just a fun fact, it's an instruction. So now he has a very clear choice. Path 1 is what any of us would probably do, panic, right? Anxiety, feeling helpless, maybe even thinking about jumping overboard. But then there's path 2, the path of faith. Trust what Jesus did, follow that example, and choose peace, even when it makes absolutely no sense. So what does he do? He takes path 2. He literally jumps on his bed and falls fast asleep. And the next thing he knows, he's waking up, and the ship is at the port. The storm is gone. Everything is calm and peaceful. He actually slept right through the whole crisis.
Okay, so that's an incredible story, right? But the devotional's really clear that it's not just a story, it's a lesson that has a direct application for you and me in our own lives.
So here is the key point. This kind of peace, it's not random. It doesn't just happen. The source argues it's a direct result of building a relationship, spending quality time with God every day. Think about it. That relationship is what made it possible for the author to even hear that guiding question in the middle of the storm.
So the big takeaway is broken down into 3 really practical steps. It's a process, really. First, you spend that quality time daily. That leads to step 2. You learn to recognize his voice, and that in turn unlocks step 3, receiving that unshakable peace. You know, the kind of peace that lets you sleep through a Category 10 storm.
And that really brings us to the final question for you to think about. What's the Category 10 storm in your life right now? Because it doesn't have to be a literal storm in sea, right? It could be a health crisis, a financial mess, a relationship falling apart. This whole message invites you to identify your storm, and then ask yourself, where can you find your peace?